AITA for insulting my husband for what he said about our daughter's BF. Okay, Reddit, I need your honest opinions. My husband, Jack, 48, and I, Emily, 47, have always prided ourselves on being a relatively peaceful household. Our daughter, Violet, 18, is a bright, kind young woman, and we've been incredibly lucky with her. She's been dating Owen, 19, for about a year now, and he's a genuinely good kid. Polite, respectful, and clearly adores her. Last Sunday was supposed to be a relaxing family day. We'd had a lovely brunch. The sun was streaming through the windows, and Violet and Owen were playing games at the kitchen table, their laughter filling the room. Jack was tinkering with his vintage radio in the living room, and I was curled up on the couch with a book. It was one of those perfect, serene afternoons you wish you could bottle up. Violet and Owen have been spending more time at our house lately, especially with Violet's upcoming graduation and their plans to attend the same community college in the fall. We like Owen, and he's always been respectful of our home. He even offers to help with chores and often brings over his mother's homemade cookies. However, Jack has been reserved about Owen, not outwardly hostile, but there's been a subtle coolness, a slight edge to his tone when Owen's around. I chalked it up to typical fatherly protectiveness, but it's been bothering me more lately. The game they were playing ended with a burst of laughter, and Owen, ever the gentleman, offered to take out the trash. He grabbed the bag and headed out the back door with Violet. As the door clicked shut, Jack, without looking up from his radio, said, "He's a bit eager, isn't he? Always trying to impress." I felt a prickle of irritation. "What do you mean?" I asked, putting my book down. "Oh, Jack said, still fiddling with the dial. Always volunteering, always bringing gifts. It's a lot. He's being nice," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "He's a good kid. Maybe a little too good," Jack muttered. That's when the frustration, which had been simmering for months, boiled over. "Too good?" I asked, my voice rising. "What's wrong with being a good kid? What's wrong with being polite and respectful?" Jack finally looked up, a flicker of surprise on his face. I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I just think he's trying too hard. Trying too hard to impress our daughter? I asked, my voice laced with sarcasm. Trying too hard to be a part of our family? What's wrong with that, Jack? He loves Violet, and he treats her well. I'm not saying he doesn't, Jack said, his voice defensive. I don't know. There's something about him that rubs me the wrong way. Something about him? I echoed, my voice incredulous. Or something about the fact that your daughter is growing up and having a boyfriend? Jack's face flushed. That's not fair, Emily. You're twisting my words. Am I? I asked, standing up. Because it sounds to me like you're judging him for being a genuinely good person. You're finding fault with him for being polite and kind. What exactly is the problem, Jack? Is he not rich enough? Not from the right family? Not the son you imagined for Violet? That's ridiculous. Jack exclaimed, his voice rising. You're putting words in my mouth. Then tell me, I yelled, tell me what your problem is with Owen, because all I see is a young man who loves my daughter and treats her with respect. And if that's not good enough for you, then I don't know what is. Jack stood up, his face red. You're overreacting, Emily. I just don't think he's right for her. And who are you to decide that? I retorted, you've barely given him a chance. You've been judging him from the moment he walked through the door. That's not true. Jack shouted. Oh, really? I said, because it sure seems like it. You're so worried about losing your little girl that you're pushing away the person who makes her happy. The air crackled with tension. Violet and Owen had come back inside, their faces pale, and were watching us in stunned silence. Emily, you're being unreasonable, Jack said, his voice strained. Unreasonable. I laughed. I'm being unreasonable? You're the one who's been acting like a spoiled child, refusing to accept that your daughter is growing up. I turned to Violet and Owen, my heart aching for them. I'm sorry you had to see this, I said. Your father can be difficult sometimes. I walked out of the living room, tears stinging my eyes. I went to our bedroom and slammed the door shut. I could hear Jack's voice, low and apologetic, try to explain to Violet and Owen. I didn't care. I was furious, hurt, and utterly exhausted. Reddit, AITA for insulting my husband? I know I lost my temper, but I'm so tired of him judging Owen. I just want him to give him a chance. TLDR, My husband made a snide comment about our daughter's boyfriend, and I lost it. I insulted him and accused him of being judgmental and unable to accept that our daughter is growing up. AITA? Update. Wow, I didn't expect so many responses. Thank you all for your insights and support. I've had some time to cool down, but the hurt and frustration are still very much there. I realize I left out some crucial context in my original post, and I think it's important to be completely transparent. This wasn't the first time Jack had made a snide or dismissive comment about Owen. It's been a pattern, a low hum of disapproval that's been growing louder over the past year. And, as some of you suspected, there's a reason behind it. It all started when Jack learned that Owen's father had left when he was very young. Owen was raised by a single mother who worked tirelessly, often juggling 2 jobs, to provide for him. There were times when Owen was alone a lot, especially in his younger years, until his mother finally landed a better-paying job. I think, deep down, Jack has a problem with that. He grew up in a very traditional family, with a stay-at-home mom and a successful businessman father. He values stability and a certain kind of normalcy. I think he sees Owen's upbringing as lacking. He's never explicitly said it, but I can see it in the way he looks at Owen, a subtle mix of pity and disdain. It's infuriating because Owen is one of the most resilient and self-sufficient young men I've ever met. He's had to overcome challenges that most kids his age haven't even faced, and he's done it with grace and determination. He's learned to cook, fix things around the house, to be independent, all while maintaining excellent grades and being a supportive partner to Violet. Jack isn't perfect. He works hard, yes, but he also has his own insecurities. He's always been a bit of a control freak, and I think seeing Violet grow up and make her own choices is unsettling for him. He wants to protect her, but he's doing it in a way that's pushing her away. He also has a hard time admitting when he's wrong. I love him dearly, but he can be stubborn and prideful. He hates confrontation, which is probably why he's been expressing his disapproval of Owen in these passive-aggressive ways. Many of you suggested that Jack might be projecting his own issues onto Owen, or even that he might subconsciously see Owen as a rival. Some even mentioned the possibility of him seeing Owen as a son he never had, but I honestly doubt that. I don't think it's anything like that, but I do think he has some deep-seated biases that he needs to confront. I plan to sit down with Jack and have a serious conversation. I need to understand what's really bothering him. I need to get to the bottom of this. I want him to see Owen for the amazing young man he is, not for the circumstances of his upbringing. I want him to be happy for Violet, not resentful of her happiness. I know it won't be easy. Jack and I have always been good at avoiding difficult conversations, but this time, I'm not going to let it slide. I love my daughter, and I love my husband. I want them to have a healthy relationship. I owe it to Violet. She deserves parents who can be there for her and respect her choices. I'll update again after we've talked. Thank you all for your support. It means more than you know. Update 2. I'm still reeling from yesterday's conversation with Jack. I honestly feel like I'm living in some kind of twisted soap opera. It's so far removed from the life I thought we had. I sat him down in the living room, bracing myself for another round of vague justifications. I wanted to understand the root of his problem with Owen, but what he revealed was so much worse, so much more deeply disturbing than I could have imagined. He started by talking about his business. He owns a successful construction company, and since we don't have a son, he'd always assumed Violet would inherit it. I've never been involved in the business, and I've always been content with that. I have my own career, and I trusted him to handle his affairs. Then he dropped the bombshell. He'd been planning to arrange Violet's marriage to the son of an old business acquaintance, someone we'd drifted apart from years ago. He believes this would secure the future of the company and ensure Violet's financial stability. He doesn't like Owen because he doesn't think Owen can provide for her. He also made a truly horrifying comment about Owen's father, saying he didn't want Violet to have children with someone who might abandon them. I was completely stunned. I sat there, numb, for what felt like an eternity. My mind couldn't process what he was saying. The sheer arrogance, the audacity of all. You're going to sell off our daughter to someone she doesn't even know? I finally managed to choke out, my voice barely a whisper. He looked at me, his expression a mix of defensiveness and what I can only describe as paternalistic condescension. It's for her own good, Emily, he said. I'm thinking about the future. Her own good, I repeated, my voice rising. You think forcing her into a loveless marriage is for her own good? I told him we would continue this conversation with Violet present, and that he should pack a bag and move into the guest room. We spent the next 4 hours in an agonizing silence. He packed his things, his movements stiff and resentful, while I sat in the living room, my heart pounding with a mixture of rage and grief. When Violet came home from her part-time job, I called her to the living room. We sat in tense silence, the air thick with unspoken accusations, waiting for Jack. When he finally joined us, he repeated his twisted logic to Violet. He told her he only wanted what was best for her and the future of the business. That's when I lost it. I unleashed all the anger and betrayal I'd been holding back. I accused him of going behind our backs, of treating Violet like a commodity. He tried to justify his actions, claiming he was the man of the house and didn't need our approval. The conversation quickly devolved into a screaming match. We yelled, we cried, we hurled accusations back and forth. It was a chaotic, heartbreaking mess. Then Violet spoke. Her voice was quiet but firm. She told Jack she no longer wanted any part of his business, that she didn't care about his approval anymore. She thanked him for the financial support he'd given her. But then, her voice breaking, she said he was no longer her father. She said if he wanted her to leave, she would. Watching my daughter, my beautiful, strong daughter, break down in tears was like a knife to the heart. I felt something inside me shatter. I turned to Jack, my voice trembling with fury. I will divorce you if you don't fix this, I told him. You have destroyed your relationship with your daughter, and you will fix it. I went to bed, leaving him alone in the wreckage of his own making. I barely slept. I'm at work now, on my lunch break, writing this update, and I'm dreading going home. I don't know how we're going to rebuild the trust that's been completely shattered. I don't know if we can. I just know that I will not allow him to manipulate or control my daughter's life. Relevant comments. User, I don't care for you. Wow. Just wow. OP, you and Violet deserve so much better. Lawyer up. Cut him off. Protect your daughter. Your husband showed you who he really is, so believe him. Good luck. User Bugs Light here. Oh, honey, my heart breaks for you and Violet. This is a level of betrayal that will take a long time to heal from. Jack's behavior isn't about being a man of the house. It's about control, and frankly, it's terrifying. He's treating your daughter like a business asset, not a person. First, take a deep breath. You're in shock, and that's completely understandable. You've just discovered a whole side of your husband you never knew existed. Here's what I recommend, step by step. Prioritize Violet's emotional safety. She's the one who's been directly targeted by this manipulation. Make sure she knows, unequivocally, that you are on her side. Listen to her, validate her feelings, and let her know she has complete control over her own life. Offer her support and the space she needs. Don't push her to reconcile with her father. Let her lead the way. Seek legal counsel. This is crucial. Jack's actions may have legal implications, especially regarding the business. Even if you don't pursue legal action, knowing your rights is essential. A lawyer can also advise you on how to protect Violet's financial future, independent of Jack's business. Consider couples counseling, if you're willing, only if Jack shows genuine remorse and a willingness to change. And I mean genuine. Not just apologies, but a deep understanding of why his actions were wrong. Even then, individual therapy for both of you would be wise. He needs to unpack why he thinks he has the right to control another person's life, and you need to process the trauma of this betrayal. Establish clear boundaries. This applies to both Jack and anyone else who tries to minimize what he did. Make it clear that his behavior is unacceptable and that you will not tolerate any further attempts to control Violet's life. Focus on your own well-being. This is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to take care of yourself to be able to support Violet. Lean on trusted friends and family. And don't be afraid to seek professional help. Document everything. Keep records of any conversations, emails, or text messages related to this situation. This will be helpful if you decide to pursue legal action or need to protect yourself and Violet. Support Owen. He's been caught in the crossfire of this mess, and he deserves your support. Make sure he knows you value his relationship with Violet and that you appreciate how he treats her. This is going to be incredibly difficult, but you are strong, and you and Violet will get through this. Remember, you're not alone. There are people who care about you and want to help. Take it one day at a time and focus on rebuilding your lives on your own terms. Sending you both strength and love. Update 3. Final update. It's been a tumultuous 3 weeks, and I'm still navigating the emotional fallout. The air in our house is thick with a cautious, fragile peace, but the underlying tension is undeniable. Violet still can't meet Jack's eyes, and the hurt in her gaze is a constant, painful reminder of the damage he's caused. I want to thank everyone who offered advice and support, especially at Bugslider. Your step-by-step guidance was invaluable. Initially, Jack showed no real remorse. He seemed to believe that his position as the man of the house excused his actions. It wasn't until he realized I was serious about seeking legal counsel, that I was prepared to dismantle our life together, that he began to understand the gravity of the situation. He asked for a meeting, a family talk, and I agreed with Violet present. It was a tense, strained affair. He offered a half-hearted apology, a weak attempt to minimize his actions, which I promptly shut down. I was done with vague platitudes. I laid out my terms, the boundaries I had painstakingly crafted. He needed to commit to individual therapy, and only then, if he demonstrated genuine progress, would we consider family and couples counseling. He protested, of course, clinging to his pride, but I stood firm. I told him, bluntly, that if he continued down this path, he would end up alone, living in a crap house with his precious business, because he wouldn't be staying here. He finally seemed to grasp the seriousness of my resolve. Then, I read aloud Violet's letter. She couldn't bring herself to speak to him directly, and I understood. Her words were raw, honest, and heartbreaking. She wrote about how he had shattered her perception of our family. She had always believed we were a loving, supportive unit, that we valued her opinions and worked through our problems maturely. She felt betrayed, completely and utterly betrayed. He had tainted her view of relationships, of family itself. Tears streamed down my face as I read her words, and I had to hand the letter to him. This is where we stand, I told him, my voice trembling. You need to decide what's more important, your business, your image, or your family. Violet, and I left him sitting in the living room, his face pale and drawn. I retreated to my room, and I cried. I cried for my daughter, for the broken trust, for the shattered illusion of our perfect family. 3 agonizing days later, he left a note on the kitchen counter. He had found a therapist and would offer a sincere apology when he returned. It was a small gesture, but it was something. Since then, we haven't had any more formal sit-downs, but he has apologized genuinely this time, and he seems to be making an effort. He's been quieter, more thoughtful. He started attending his therapy sessions, and he's even begun to help around the house more. I still have a lawyer on retainer. I'm not naive. I know that change takes time, and I'm not ready to fully trust him yet. Violet has decided to live in the dorms when she starts college. I understand her need for independence, for space to heal. It breaks my heart a little, but I respect her decision. Jack and I are still sleeping in separate rooms. We're civil, but there's a distance between us, a wariness that will take time to overcome. We've agreed to start family therapy soon, and I hope, with time and consistent effort, we can rebuild some semblance of the family we once were. This experience has been a painful lesson. It's taught me the importance of communication, of setting boundaries, and of prioritizing my daughter's well-being above all else. I've learned that even the strongest relationships can be fragile, and that trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to repair. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm also realistic. We have a long road ahead of us. Thank you all for listening. Update 4, 2 years later. Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about this thread. Time really does fly. I can't believe it's been 2 years since my last update. I wasn't sure if anyone would still be interested, but I thought I'd share how things have progressed. In short, things are good. Not perfect, but good. We all went through a lot of therapy, both individually and as a family, and it truly made a difference. It wasn't easy, and there were definitely moments when I doubted we'd ever find our way back to some kind of normalcy. Jack has made significant strides. He's a different man now, more thoughtful, more considerate. He's learned to listen, to truly listen, and to value Violet's opinions and choices. He's still got his moments, human after all, but he catches himself now. It's a huge improvement. Violet and Jack are on good terms again. They're not as close as they used to be, and I don't know if they ever will be, but they can have a conversation without the air crackling with tension. That's a huge win in my book. Violet is thriving in college. She's found her passion and is doing incredibly well. She did try the dorms, but she hated it. She missed the comforts of home, and honestly, I missed her. She's decided to wait until her second term to move back home full time. She comes home often, though, which is lovely. And Owen, oh, that boy, he's been an absolute rock throughout all of this. He's still with Violet, and their relationship is stronger than ever. They're both attending the same college, but studying different subjects, so Owen has a bit more free time than Violet. He's become a regular fixture at our house, even when Violet isn't around. It's actually quite heartwarming to see him and Jack together. They've developed a genuine bond. Owen is eager to learn about construction and business from Jack, and Jack seems to enjoy mentoring him. They work on projects together in the garage, and I often find them deep in conversation over a cup of coffee. It's like Jack has finally accepted Owen, not just as Violet's boyfriend, but as a young man he respects and admires. It's truly a beautiful thing to witness. We're all still healing, of course. Trust takes time to rebuild, and there are still moments when the pain of the past resurfaces. But we're moving forward together. We're learning to communicate better, to be more honest, and to appreciate the love and support we have for each other. I'm so grateful that Jack came to his senses. He made a terrible mistake, but he's working hard to make amends, and I'm proud of the progress he's made. I'm also incredibly proud of Violet for her strength and resilience. She's a remarkable young woman, and I'm so lucky to be her mother. And Owen, well, he's just a wonderful young man and a true asset to our family. Life isn't perfect, but it's good, and that's more than I could have asked for 2 years ago. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. It meant the world to me.